Hi, welcome to another episode of Bringing Hope to Alzheimer's. I'm Ann Frazier, and today we're going to be talking about rising to the occasion and what that means with people who have Alzheimer's. So, as many of you know, I took care of my parents for 3 years. I was their caretaker and until they passed away. And my parents were young. They passed away at the age of 73, and they passed away 6 months apart from one another. So I had both of my parents going through dementia and Alzheimer's, and it wasn't until after they passed away that we did autopsies and we found out that yes, my mom had true Alzheimer's and my dad had vascular dementia. So what would happen when I was taking care of my parents, I would notice that there was what I call, quote unquote, rising to the occasion. And what I mean by that is before I started taking care of them and we would come to town, we lived in Tucson, Arizona at the time, and when we would come to town for a long weekend, like a 3-day weekend, we knew that they were having some trouble, but for the most part, though, it felt like they were doing pretty good. Like we noticed little things, but they're all right. They're still doing pretty good. And they are getting a little bit older and so forth. Well, fast forward to when we moved back to Kansas City, and we actually, because we weren't sure what we were going to do, we decided to move in with them for a short period of time till we figured out like what school district we were going to put our son in and so forth. My parents could not hold their rising to the occasion together for a long period of time. It was typically a couple days. And so we really kind of got to see behind the curtain of what was really going on. And it was shocking, to say the least, but it also was eye-opening in the fact that my parents were doing a lot of things in the background to make it seem like everything was okay. And we got to kind of see all those little mechanisms. So for instance, my mom really couldn't do the laundry, so my dad would put the laundry in, and sometimes it would be down there in the washer for days, and their clothes would smell musty and moldy because he'd finally remember to go down and get it. And so we started doing the laundry for them, and then we were noticing that there were packages showing up at the front door every day, multiple packages, and my dad was ordering a lot of things off of the internet. And they were things that he did not need. And they were things that he had no business even ordering. We realized that, okay, we need to really curtail that and get the credit cards away. And so we started kind of seeing all these things that were happening in the background. But then what would happen is, like, for instance, my siblings would come to town to visit. And you would have a lot of people be like, oh, they're not that bad. They seem great. But what they wouldn't see is once they left town, then my parents would sleep sometimes until 3 or 4 the next day, get up for a few hours, sleep till 3 or 4 again the next day. I could not get them up because their brains were so tired. So when they would rise to the occasion, their brain had to work extra hard trying to figure out how to make it seem like they were doing well and they were keeping it all together and trying to remind themselves not to repeat, and all the things that they were trying to keep pulled together, it was really taxing on them. And so when the family would leave or a visitor would leave, they would just their brain was so exhausted, and they really needed some extra time to let their brain rest and recover from that visit from whoever it was. So a lot of times, if you've got family members that you're noticing that they are starting to repeat or they're having some things, maybe go for an extended visit, like a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. And especially if you can work from home and so you could work from their place or whatever, and really spend that time, because most people who have dementia will not be able to keep that rise to the occasion level for that long. It's usually a 2-3 days max. And really kind of see how they're functioning in their everyday activities for an extended period of time. And that might help you as far as knowing what to do, whether it's time to maybe even have someone come in and help out a little bit at the house, or if it's time to maybe look into a community assisted living or something like that, where they would have a little bit more oversight from someone. Anyway, it's a difficult situation. I've been there, I've done that. Anything from taking the car keys away to all the way until they took their last breath. It's such a difficult time, and it is such a difficult disease. And I really, really encourage you to reach out and get some help and have a little extended visit and see how they're doing for a longer period of time. So I hope that helps, and I appreciate you tuning in today, and we'll see you next time.